Greetings and welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is May 21st. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I gotta start this off with an apology.
Who and what? Why?
This used to be the foremost birthday podcast in golf. And how far we've fallen. We missed PJ's birthday. PJ's birthday was yesterday. It was Monday. A recording day. You didn't bring it up.
I didn't want to bring it up. It's
Happy birthday, PJ.
Thank you.
It's as important as more important than the resolution of the major championship.
Yeah, definitely.
Opinion.
Definitely
Happy
not.
birthday. How old are you? 23? 21?
26.
It's 26.
Does that mean you're off the family insurance?
Off the family insurance. Me and Pete are trying to set it up. It's been more difficult than we imagined, but we're trying.
Business Pete. There we go. Another thing. Birthday for PJ is a pain for Business Pete. Good. You had your birthday recently, Andy, right? Some point in the last 2 weeks or so.
I was in Scotland, right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're on a run.
Fellow Tauruses, me and PJ. I think
you
in the cut line.
Shouldn't you be?
What? Yeah, May 8th. I don't know the
We're
sign.
all Tauruses.
I don't know what the what is that? Astrology? What is that?
Yeah.
I think the 19th or the 20th is like the last day. I think I just make it.
Yeah, April 20th to May 20th. This is this is a bull podcast.
The Bulls. There we go.
It's always the Bulls.
Running of the Bulls. All right, like that.
I just typed in Taurus. Is an Earth sign represented by the bull. Like any celestial animal counterpart, Taurians. We're Taurians. Enjoy relaxing and serene and bucolic environments surrounded by soft sounds, soothing aromas, and succulent flavors. There we go.
Interesting.
Okay. There you go.
Bucolic, serene. All right. Okay.
God, this is an incredible development that we're all Tauruses. Yeah. Taurian. We're Taurian people.
Why that works?
Podcast.
Why the podcast works? I have no idea. Maybe why. Yeah. Interesting. All right.
God.
Happy birthday, PJ.
What a revelation. You think you know someone.
Were you guys old for your grade or young for your grade? Yeah. That's
young.
May is usually. Yeah. So last one to get your license, last one to, legally drink. All that whole deal. Yeah. May was a good birthday.
May made us who we are. We had to work harder because we weren't, age advantaged.
Fair. All right, let's get to it.
You want some famous Tauruses?
Sure.
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
If you smell. Okay.
George Clooney.
All right.
David Beckham. From a golf sense, Rory McIlroy, I know, is a Taurus.
Yeah, because they gave him a cake at Philly Cricket Club. He's like May 4th or something in there. I don't know. They gave him a big cake. I was like, huh. But it was like 4 days late. I was confused. Because it was my birthday. I think that when I saw the clip of the cake, I was like, oh, do we have the same birthday? And I Googled it. It was like, oh, it was like 5 days ago. Why are they giving him a cake? I don't know. Thirsty, it seemed like. But they got the social media content out of it. So, golf Tauruses. All right.
It says we have to wander Earth in order to find freedom.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
Take that for what it's worth.
You're wandering around out there.
You wander too.
I do wander hither and yon. Let's get to Wednesday after major. Can always be a bit of a ramble.
It is going to be a ramble.
I've got some big questions about the Colonial field. I've got some big enthusiasms about the Senior PGA. What?
Questions about the Colonial field. I think that's priority 3 here. Now that we got Taurus out of the way.
Senior PGA.
Senior PGA's event of the week this week.
You know what? You know who doesn't think that anymore? Sad to report. KitchenAid. They're out. They're it's no longer the stand-up mixer PGA Championship.
I'm glad I extracted my mixer when I did.
Now it's in my backyard. I was looking to go wet my beak, come home with some appliances to, make the wife feel better about being away from the home. Nope. Nothing. I ran into a buddy, a congressional member, like a week ago. He's like, I guess the build out's much less than it was for the women. He said, apparently I lost KitchenAid. I was like, really? Well, that will be prime podcast material. He's like, what do you talk about on your podcast? Well, stand-up mixers. They don't have it anymore.
I feel like I can
KitchenAid.
reveal this now.
Yeah.
I sold my stand-up mixer right after I got it.
I think
got it at Southern Hills. They shipped it to me quickly after we had just gotten
Did you
married.
unbox it?
My wife and I had just gotten married.
Yeah.
So we just had gotten basically the same thing. So we just threw it up, sold it. I think we sold it for like $300. Not
how much have you actually used the one you have though? Do you use that a lot?
I mean, my wife uses it. I know every time my wife uses it because I have to get it out.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, everybody gets one for their wedding registration often, and I don't know.
It just depends on how often somebody bakes.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe the reason they're getting out of the senior PGA business is that society's baking less pastries. You know,
as a society,
the health awakening of society might be hurting KitchenAid's business. I think that's why they're in the blenders now.
Yeah, that would. There's been a cultural shift to blending. That's a good point. Do we have any cleanup we want to do from the PGA Championship?
Lots.
Quail Hollow. Okay. What would you like to go? Do we need to fluff up Scotty anymore? Have you had any further thoughts about the golf course? What do you need to clean up? I have a couple items, but you go ahead.
You know, I was almost afraid to ask this in the moment. We get caught up in those recaps, and I wanted to know after I saw that No Laying Up had either called or reached out to somebody at FanDuel that gave them a 9.5 major over under.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask, now that we've had 48 hours, where you're at on the over under of Scotty major total, and what would you set the line at, and where you think it's gonna go.
I mean, this feels like such an insane exercise. I realize it's fun for this kind of discussion and for gambling. He basically has been in just about every major, and I'm using that. I'm casting a broad net there. The one miscut, oddly enough, was that Southern Hills for whatever reason, which seemed to have set up great for him, well for him, and he was really hot then. He still has only 3. He's in them all the time. I think we can get caught up. I mean, Phil Mickelson is the greatest non-Tiger player of the last, 30, 40 years, right? He's the greatest. You might combat me with Ernie, but based on winning percentage, wins, style that, evolved and transferred to every kind of test, he has 6. And that includes a bonus one at the age of whatever it was, 51. At 9.5 seems insane to me. I feel like 6. Do I need to put a half on there? 6.5 feels like a pretty good marker. Now, yeah, you look at him now and you're like, well, this guy, it's hard to imagine him not getting one a year for the next 5 years. Maybe that, but that's not how this works. I feel like 6 is a good number.
Imagine in 2015 saying Spieth would only have 3.
Sure. Imagine August 2014, Rory will have 5.
Somebody put up a tweet today saying with like a hit on TV after Chambers saying that Spieth's number was like 12 or 11.5 or something like that.
Yeah, that's how. There's 3 guys in the history of golf who have gotten to double digits, right? Tiger, Jack, and Hagen. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we talking
Hagen
about
count?
here? It's a separate discussion. You get the olds mad at you. It was much harder to play back then. I feel like 6 is a pretty good number. Does that seem disrespectful to like what we're watching now in the last 3 years? Maybe, but it's also trying to keep my feet on the ground about the history of golf in the last 20 years.
I would not be shocked if he's going for the career Grand Slam at Portrush at all.
Sure.
But even at that point, then he's still 2 majors away from 6. I think I fall on like 6.5 or 7.5 is a reasonable one. I think there's like obviously like a lot of differences in Spieth and him, and I don't think that's like it's like necessarily a fair thing to do. To either is like, you look at Jordan Spieth, he was hitting the ball great. Obviously, tee to green, he was great then. But you're talking about like someone who had like a statistical abnormality with 20-foot putts, like where he made them at like a clip that was completely never seen before, and it turned out to like not be sustainable. I will say with Scotty, like the thing that's scary is he's somehow taken the worst part of his game, and now I think he's 15th in strokes gained putting as it stands today on the year.
Somewhere in the top 20, 25.
Which that's frightening, because that was like the one thing that you kind of looked at and was like, well, can he do this? And so, I just think like it's really hard, and we've done this with all the spotlights. It's really hard to play extraordinarily high level of golf for 10 straight years. And I think something that goes a little bit missed, and maybe this is like a crossroads in history, right? Is if Scotty goes on to win 10, I think on Sunday represented an opportunity for Scotty to get like some of that major scar tissue that we haven't seen him do, where he could have had that big lead and lost it and had something in his head that he does not have anymore. And it's like, I think if you play out that back nine with the shots that Rahm hit, the putt he hit on 13, there's like a lot of worlds where Jon Rahm wins. And if Jon Rahm had won and Scotty had blown that big lead, I think there is like a mental thing that could have creeped in. But now he feels invincible on Sundays. And that was a real place where he almost booted it on a Sunday, but he didn't. And he probably leaves with more confidence because that was as bad of a 9 as he could have played. And he still got it done by, like finding this thing. So I think it's I just, what usually derails these is something happens, whether it's in their lives, whether it's, on the golf course.
Yeah. My
question is like, when is Scotty going to have the adversity that we see everybody go through? And it's hard to see where that's going to be from. This
is maybe a crazy take, but in a way, as you talk about this, I wonder if age sort of is working in his favor here for the total. For the overall total. He's not like with Rory, he admits he was not as good a golfer. Like there were flaws, like the wedge game when he went crazy in 14, right? He wasn't as sharp. With Spieth, like is age working in Scotty's favor for the career total here? He's a pretty fully formed golfer now. He's 28. He didn't get 3 quick ones like Jordan. He didn't get 4 quickish ones like Rory. And maybe like this is who he is for the next 10 years. Like he's already fully formed. There's not really a weakness, as you talked about. And it's a far different circumstance than where Rory was in 2014. Or Spieth. I guess Koepka would be an analogy. Like go just kind of and that on the development timeline, Koepka was a little older and longer and had to grind more in the Challenge Tour and whatnot. But Koepka's obviously had health issues come in. I think the counter to sort of the temperament, like like it's hard, it's 6, is that are we admitting he's the closest thing to Tiger Woods? And is that where we should start going? Now with Tiger in 2007, you're like, he's going to win 23 majors or something like that. Is he closer to Tiger Woods than he is to anyone else? And that's why we should start talking in double-digit figures.
I think it's a good question. I'm not ready to be there yet.
Do you agree with me on the age point? Like,
I do. I think like what's interesting to me is that he's got like the kid, like his life's so simple that it doesn't feel like he's distracted.
Yeah.
Which I think is like one of the things people don't talk about enough about like becoming a superstar in any walk of life and any sport, is that with that comes like a lot of distractions, and there seemingly isn't. So what he said, his favorite thing to do in the world is to go practice.
Hey, what brands sponsor him? What endorsements does he have?
It's Nike, Taylor. I just finished talking to Trevor for the Friday pod, and I brought this up. It's really just
about this the last couple of days. Yeah.
I think I talked about this a few years ago when he won the Masters, but he's the most commercially quiet big player in the world.
Like, is his car? Does he have a car deal?
No,
Rolex was running ads for him this past week. I didn't know Rolex sponsors every golfer essentially.
Rolex, and I don't think they ask for a lot. You know, it's mostly just like likeness and wear our watch.
Yeah. It's equipment and apparel.
Yeah, and like the Nike deal's incredible because every time you add a logo, you add a couple days of work.
Yeah. Yep. Or shaking hands or yeah. I love this Ted Scott quote. He doesn't care about fame. He doesn't care about money. Did you read this to Trevor when you were talking to him? He doesn't care about money. Yes, he gets paid, but what inspires him is so pure. It's almost like he's an amateur playing for the love of the game, the love of competition. It's like he's Bobby Jones. There is an element of truth to that, like we just discussed. That was, I'm not sure who. I think Shipnut got that quote, maybe from Ted Scott. Which, you know, this isn't to condemn those who do get the endorsements. Like, get it however you want. Be Ricky Fowler and whatever you do, whatever you want. I both approaches are. I don't want to say one's more praiseworthy necessarily.
I think like Rory's the player that's probably handled mega endorsements, him and Tiger, the best without it like impacting the golf. But I think that Rory is more of a less is more approach to a lot of stuff, which is different approach in golf. Like Scotty, as evidence, like the guy just loves to practice, loves to grind. So not having any endorsements is a great thing for him because it doesn't take away from his time at the golf course. It allows him to allocate as much time as he wants to his family and to his faith. Whereas, like, I think like some players where you have a less is more approach where, me spending too much time on this can get me into bad places. The endorsements can be a nice thing, or the outside golf things can be a nice thing because they're a distraction, right? It can work both ways. But I think Scotty's, if things are going great, that setup is great. I think where it has problems, and he talked about this with his putting, is when things don't go well. That can be the worst because you don't have anything that distracts you.
It's your whole life, your whole mind. Yeah.
So I think that, maybe his adversity he's already gotten through, which was the putting. But I wonder, does that come back? Like when I think about ways that like this gets his place at the top, the top or near the top of the game, how does it get derailed? That's always going to be the first thing you think about, right?
Yep. Health, maybe, but he just doesn't seem to have.
It's because he's all forever guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's not on the range trying to get to 190 necessarily. I'm sure he wants to keep speed and or at least increase it marginally. But he's like with his molded grip and his coach that he had since he was 5.
No track, man.
Which, if it's not working, there will be that stretch where he's not playing as well as he wants, and maybe he does go to that kind of thing. That happens. So I just like golf is not static.
That's the thing. It makes it such a tough question, because you just like think about how much the game's turned over since Scotty won his first Masters.
Right. I mean there's an interesting question. Go ahead.
DJ and Koepka are. I don't know about Koepka. I don't think it might not be too early. It might be too early, but like he just doesn't seem like he's the same guy, right?
Yeah.
After he won at Oak Hill, we were talking 7 for him. 8.
Yep.
I think some people suggested double digits for him.
Well, he said it himself, I think, right? He can get to double digits.
Now I think it's a real question. Does he get another?
I don't think we're ever going to. Maybe we will. I wonder if we'll see a burst like that again, where you get 4 in like 3 years, 2 years. That to me is an all timer. I
think if you expect that out of someone, it's probably
Scotty.
This guy, right?
Yeah. Does he end up with the most majors of any quote unquote active player right now? Tiger inactive, I will say. It's Rory and Brooks, and then maybe Xander or somebody else that's younger.
He's 2 behind Rory.
Yeah.
But he's also 8 years younger.
Right. It's an interesting question.
I think like the thing when Rory's got it all together, the driver, like Scotty day in, day out is as good of a driver as anybody. But when it's all together, that driver is such an advantage. But like how many majors can you count on somebody playing great in a year? 2? These top guys? If they give themselves 2 chances in majors, that's like a great year, I think.
That sounds right.
So, I mean, Scotty, what's crazy is you look at the results and it's like bad weeks are, generally like 8th.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was, I would say this was an, I don't know what the word is to sound harsh. Wasn't his best week until Saturday night. It was good. It was impressive. It's scrappy. But he still won. He got hot on Saturday night. And then for like 4 or 5 holes on the back on Sunday. It's interesting. It wasn't like, and he won by 4.
I do wonder if there was some aspect. I was on the ground, so it's like hard to like. But is there some aspect of saying it wasn't his best when like nobody separated outside of Scotty, and it was like this like crazy run. Somebody else had to be playing great in that field, and nobody could lift and get away from the pack except for him. And he did it with like a flawless 5-hole stretch?
I have a little bit. I was reading more about like actually stuff from before the championship, after. I think there's an interesting like Saturday dynamic when you bring up the Saturday stretch. I was reading an interview with Justin Rose within the Telegraph, which is a great interview. He's awesome, Rose. He talked about how, I lost the Master. Like, people go nuts about the Sunday, up, down, playoff, and 10 birdies, and Rory up and down. So I lost the Masters on Saturday when I turned a 69 into a 75, is what Rose said. And that gets overwhelmed by everything that happened on Sunday. Scotty obviously won the PGA on Sunday when he, putted out and he had to beat Rahm. He was tied. But like, we can glaze over all that. I know it's 72 holes and all the strokes matter and all this bullshit. But it really feels like that Saturday night dynamic. Maybe we should wait even more. We talked about with Spieth at the end of St. George's, right? When he kind of left it, more cushion for Morikawa than he wanted. Rory at Hoylake. We did go on and on and on. Spieth at the 15 Masters when he got up and down, when it seemed like Rose could get a little tighter. After a double on 17, he then gets up and down on 18 from an impossible spot. It was interesting, and this was certainly the case in PGA. I just reading Rose and thinking about his analogy, or comparing his Saturday, like that's where I lost it, 69 to a 75 on Saturday. And Scotty, the inverse of that was true at Quail Hollow. It's interesting.
Well, you tend to over magnify what happens on Sunday, but the thing about a golf tournament is like, there's consequential runs throughout. I think like on top of Saturday is how he finished on Thursday.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, 2 weeks ago or 5 days ago, we were talking about can Rory win the season slam with some amount of credibility. I mean, it was kind of a preposterous thing, and now we're talking about, can Scotty complete the career slam, or will he have the opportunity to do so on his club this year? We jump around. Maybe in that same question, or in that same interview, Rose was like, in other circumstances, he said, this was James Corrigan, I could be going for my own career slam at the PGA this week at Quail Hollow. He's like, it's not a ridiculous notion, not a million miles off. And that's a powerful motivation. It makes me continue to work hard, think of ways I could still compete. I mean, he's obviously was close last year at Troon and the Masters multiple times.
And just the implications of these majors. We talked a little bit about how Rahm, you could play out that back nine and without a doubt see Rahm winning. If Rahm wins, he's one leg away from the career slam. And he's got 3 majors and Scotty's got 2. There's the other interesting element with Rahm and Scotty, how effectively they duked it out in the year before Rahm went to live. They're roughly the same age.
It's like a player of the year debate kind of thing. Yeah.
They're basically the same age. I would say that they are a part of the generation after Rory, if you were going to make generational lines. And just like since Rahm went to live, it's been like Scotty mania. Scotty's ascended to this level, but at the same token, if Rahm wins last week, he's at 3, Scotty's at 2, he's won 3 of the 4, he's going to Portrush with a chance at the career slam. And I don't think, in terms of their games, in terms of their skill sets, that there's a huge drastic difference in where they can get. Like, I don't think of Scotty as like this like echelon above Rahm necessarily, because we've seen when Rahm's good, there's that same consistency, that same ability to overwhelm, the same like lack of holes in the game. And it's just amazing how like that plays out different in what we're talking about right now between Scottie and Rahm would be completely flipped. And I don't think Rahm, if you told me Jon Rahm wins more majors than Scottie, that's not crazy.
No.
That's not inconceivable. Scottie, I think Rahm is situated for the next two. Like, he's incredible fit. He's a better fit at Portrush than Scottie is, with Scottie's history with links golf at this point.
I guess, yeah. He hit it in the wind well on Saturday. And
he did.
Your point on our recap Sunday night about
he should be
his striker is as a striker, he should almost be able to separate more.
He should win an Open. I think that's like the next mental thing is the Pinehurst thing, the links golf thing is, that's a real. I've never seen him drive it so bad as he did at Pinehurst.
I feel like we over-index? Are we overweighting like 2 hours of golf after Memorial that week, Pinehurst, where we're making like sweeping? I mean, it dovetails well with it. There's more further evidence given his Open record too. But I executed the shot I want to, or I didn't, and it's in the rough, and I know what I have there.
Yeah,
and like that sort of dynamic seems to frustrate him. Where I hit it where I wanted to, and it kicked off a links hump, or it's in a wire grass. He
laid this out on when he did the Grand Horvat thing. He just like really doesn't like when it's not like you could hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
When it's not predictable. Predictability, and that makes sense. That's what he is going to craft and perfect.
I would say we saw a little bit less of that this week. Not on the unpredictable stuff, but like when the putt would break below the hole, he's been sort of incredulous, grumpy boy a little bit. And there were even, he made the comments about the mud balls, but there wasn't a lot of that on Thursday, even, where he's sort of incredulous, or at the Players, he was pissy. He was slamming the bag and hitting the bag, and there was just less of that. That doesn't mean he fixed that sort of mental or emotional response. Maybe he doesn't want to fix it, but there was just less of it.
I think it also is he knew where his game was at the Players versus now. I think there's probably frustration that he wasn't playing at the level he knew he could play at, because it was a slow start to the year. I mean, there's no, by his standards that he's set the last 3 years.
Yep. And his next opportunity will be at Oakmont. We will be there. We'll be up close. We did not go to Charlotte, but we will be going to Pittsburgh. We need to coordinate on all this stuff. I'm going to drive up from DC. We're going to have a full fried egg team there. We're going to be at Local Remedy, a brewery down the hill from Oakmont. We're going to be there all week. They've got a poster up in the window already. Got good friends there. It's a cool new spot. It's like about a year old, maybe less. Very clean, good beer, good spot.
Very clean. Love that here.
I mean, it's new. It's like it's a slick spot. It's great. Has some character. It's in a good strip of town with a bunch going on that week. I think the road's going to be closed down. They're going to have all sorts of, outdoor food and beer and activities and stuff. We're going to be there all week. We're going to podcast after play on Thursday, Friday. We're going to be there Wednesday evening. We're going to have merch with Abby's going to be there. We're going to have a table with some merch. We're just going to be hanging out. We have our own beer, the Moving Day Ale, I believe it's called. So if you're driving from my folks from Cleveland,
it's your Saturday. That's what you're saying. You wanted to put more emphasis on Saturday.
Well,
we got a beer that's going to do that.
Yeah. Your Moving Day Ale. So if you're from DC, my people in DC, you could drive up. Cleveland, Eastern Ohio, obviously Pennsylvania. You're heading to the US Open. We'll be at Oakmont and Local Remedy Brewing.
Home game for New Yorkers, too. So head over there if you're a New Yorker.
PJ said it was an 8.5 hour drive for him or something like that.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is not and not a home game. I've done that drive before.
They say it's a home game if a Chicagoan's playing in Minneapolis. So that's like six and a half. Anything in the Midwest is a home game for a Midwesterner. So it's time for you little East Coast elitists to understand that like 6-hour drive is not inconceivable.
Well, I mean, I think it's certainly like a Justin Lauer home game, but I don't know. Keegan's gonna have to check the metrics on that. On
Jason
well, it depends on where Keegan declares he's from.
That changes all the time. So we'll see
home game for Furyk, right? He's from Philly, right? But he's a Steelers fan. I don't know. He's probably not in the field. But DC is 3.5, 3 hours. Is it a home game for the DC Marylanders people? So probably.
Are they going to trot Mason Rudolph out there a week of the U.S. Open as a big golf fan, as starting quarterback of the Steelers as they continue to do this dance around bringing Aaron Rodgers in?
I was going to say, who's a big golf fan who thinks Egypt is the only place that's ever matched Augusta National? Who's going to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Who I bet is going to make an appearance in Oakmont.
There's rumors that there's like these grainy pictures of him looking at a house in Pennsylvania.
I mean, it's for sure happening. I didn't see that,
know. It's something with the realtor. It's like, is this Aaron Rodgers? And it's like grainy and it looks like him, kind of the image. So.
If you're Aaron Rodgers, you can't be buying a house in Pittsburgh, right?
Right. That doesn't make any
renting,
sense.
Right?
It's an internet aggregator conspiracy. Yeah, you're renting. Yes.
At this point,
I would hope.
It's gonna be there for like 5 months. Not
well, we'll be there for 1 week.
You know what? The way these majors, the way these the U.S. Open's just sending us into hostage situations for lodging. Where we're just being held over a barrel. It might not be a bad idea to just start buying places and selling them right back once you move out for the week.
I mean,
it's getting to the point where it's like I'd rather almost pay a mortgage for a year than get in one of these rental houses.
Pinehurst was absurd. I mean,
Pittsburgh's absurd.
Yeah.
The only place it wasn't absurd? Los Angeles, because it's a city that nobody knew that it was going on, and the city's big enough. It's like the case for having these in big cities. Boston wasn't bad,
No.
What's going to be bad next year?
What?
Long Island.
Yeah.
Southampton, baby.
PJ's people are going to just hold us over a barrel.
Ryder Cup. Might be a tough one.
We're just moving into PJ's house.
Yeah, come on down. It's fine.
PJ,
do you have any neighbors that want to rent us the house for Ryder Cup?
Honestly, I can make some calls.
Well, for Oakmont, we'll be at Local Remedy. We do have a house. We won't be sleeping at Local Remedy, but come on over, come on down. We'll be there all week doing podcasts. All right, let's get to our schedule for the week. Do you have any other PGA cleanup you wanted to talk about? You said you had several notes, but you have anything else you want to clear out from Quail?
I don't know. I think we talked about it enough. Do you have anything?
No, I think that was it. I wanted to put a bow on Scotty. I'll say this. I did Golf Channel yesterday, and the entire 2 hours, it felt like people, I just flipped it on in the background. It was a lot of chat, like debrief. And I'm seeing this in other pods and elsewhere. It feels like the Rory no press thing has people talking more about Rory than if he had just talked. That I don't think it's a big subject, but it reading and watching everything yesterday, it made him a giant focal point for a guy who finished 47th in the field. It was interesting how I guess that's just like what I talked about with Sunday, the media fixation. But no, I don't really have anything else from the PGA. I was just surprised at the amount of coverage that got. So
yeah, I think I've thought about that a lot, and I'm, it's strange. I don't know. It's become such a big story.
Right. It's blowing up. I was shocked at how much it was discussed on Monday after. Or the guy finished 47th or whatever he did.
One thought I have is do you think the PGA Tour, I can't believe I'm even asking this. This is a league that can't test everybody's driver week in, week out because they don't have the spine to do it. Do you think between Morikawa,
No.
this, that we're ever getting to like, you have to talk, if you're requested, you have to talk?
No. No. Do I think maybe they should? It should be efforted to make that a rule? Probably. But no. It's not.
What's crazy to me is like you listen to, NBA playoffs. I've been listening to NBA pods, and they talk about how, like, with this new cap, like your Cavs, which is pretty much a homegrown team outside of, Mitchell.
Yeah.
The Celtics, they have these like huge dilemmas of like, what do we do? We can't keep our stars. And like when you go back, it's like the NBA owners just completely hoodwinked the players.
Right.
And
hard cap. Yeah.
Created hard cap without golf. There's nobody there's no push and pull. And we just have like the players are the I mean, everything is player centric. There is nothing on tour that is anti-player, but yet these guys still piss and moan about everything.
The biggest push and pull of the last decade has been live. And it resulted in them making like 10x of what they were making before. It was just only because it drove some sort of innovation or change, but it was still all player centric.
Yes.
Right? It was a push and pull, but it's still player centric. Yeah, look, if Nobilo was on Golf Channel he's like the most even keeled dude and obviously a former player, and he was asked and he's like, it's an entertainment product, like you owe it. It's your obligation to do it. Anyways, I think if you're thinking about what we get, I wrote about this. What we get is, I think, incredibly valuable. Now, look, this podcast, Bryson will go and he'll talk, and I'll pull the quotes and we'll dissect them and chuckle about it. But it's valuable insight into his brain and his motivation. And I think sometimes when they talk, they're not always treated like it's not analyzed fairly. Hopefully we are fair. But yeah, people pounce on that. They pounced on the mud balls thing. I thought it was great that Xander and Scott, I thought that insight was awesome. So I think overall it's a credit to the tour, it's a credit to the product, and it's a credit to golf. They can talk. But here we are talking about it again. I can't believe it's become such a subject though. So schedule for the week. We have the Charles Schwab Talk to Chuck Challenge at Colonial Country Club, Fort Worth, Texas. I think it's the longest run. Is it the longest running continuous PGA Tour event? This harkens back to the Tour Pros and their station wagons going from town to town. The purse is $9.5 million. Notables: Akshay Bhatia, Blades Brown, Tommy Fleetwood, Ricky Fowler, Tom Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Michael Thorbjornsen are your notables.
I thought it was a different Michael.
Michael what? Blocky is in the field. He's got an exemption. This is on Golf Channel and CBS. 4 to 7 on Thursday, Friday, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, Saturday, Sunday split. Usual deal between Golf Channel and CBS. I have always loved this event. I think it was one of the first events I covered in person way back when it was the Crown Plaza Colonial Invitational or whatever it was. Obviously, the golf course, it's the second year post restoration, I guess is the term we use for Gil Hanse. Last year, obviously, you were down there, you played it. The greens were like nuclear firm, like they were just fresh out of the oven. They'll still be firm this week, but not like that, I would imagine. There's real wind, typically. It's a smaller golf course. You have to be able to hit, wedges, 8-iron and up well. There's usually, I think there's, you want to get into Scotty's comments from Grant Horvat video. The restoration did take out more trees, right? It made it less like a Harbor Town claustrophobia deal. Interesting that Scotty's heavy favorite, as you would imagine. Ball striker, drives it accurately. It's interesting in that video with Grant Horvat, he's like, trees are the way to combat the best in the world. It's like more trees. Interesting, like they take these out and they widen it out, and that's just not going to penalize us. And they did that a little bit. It's still a small ballpark and a shorter course, but that was part of the restoration, was widening those kind of driving lanes.
It's always important to remember these projects. I think like one of the great shifts in at golf courses is these projects are being done not for Scotty Scheffler. And I think tour pros just in general have a hard time wrapping their heads around that fact that actually they did this project for the members that pay a shitload of money to play there every year, not the tour pros who come in and play for a bunch of money and don't pay them anything and just lead them to.
They host it every year and have forever. But yes, yeah, you're right.
So like I think like let's always keep that in mind, and especially with a place like Colonial.
But it has resulted in more drivers for the pro event, where this wasn't purely all. You still got to hit it straight, but
I haven't paid attention to the weather early week there, but if this place doesn't rain, I think one of the great things about Colonial and why it leads to just generally a pretty good variety of player. It's not overly long, but it also has Bermuda rough, which
I was gonna say
is gnarly. It just makes you more so than almost any other rough really want to be in the fairway, and that's why you could get a wide range of winners here. Is that it really values keeping the ball in play, and you can bomb it up and get close, but like you got to be in the fairway, and that's why it's a great place for Scotty Scheffler, because he hits a lot of fairways, and he's the best iron player in the world.
And have we been on overseed essentially since like the West Coast swing? I want to say basically maybe Philly. I think it's essentially just been from PGA National all the way through. Yeah, you don't need to hit it really far. They compare this to like Harbor Town, like Kisner, right? Wasn't it his quote, like, I can't win, I can only win at like 4 places, or maybe it was Kevin Na, one of those. It's compared to that and like a Sedgefield or Wyndham there, like those courses where it does bring an element into play. That doesn't mean that like the lawn and straight, which plays everywhere, guy is disadvantaged in any way. It just brings a few more different kinds of players. Going into the Bermuda rough is a real penalty here, and you need to be accurate with your shorter irons. So Scotty is the prohibitive favorite. Is there any reason to think? We saw a few years ago, Phil won the PGA and came here. Was like, all right, I'm just going to have a glass of wine and maybe I'll play golf. And he did, and he left after 2 days. Scotty has won at Harbor Town the week after the Masters. Does he get another tartan jacket?
I think he's going to win.
He
finished runner-up last year too. Like,
it's perfectly suits him. I know his game goes everywhere, but it suits him better than a Craig Ranch and even Quail Hollow. It suits him. So, I like the simplicity we talked about at the top. Like, that sort of lends itself to, all right, we're back to doing the tasks. We're back to just playing. There's a task, and I'm going to go accomplish it. So, do we have picks for the Chuck Schwab challenge? Do you have a pick this week?
I'm taking JJ Spawn. I think he underratedly played well, and I think this golf course fits him well. He's having a great year. I just, I was looking at like maybe Matt McNeely, but I don't know. I think Spawn, like in a way, played really well last week, but didn't necessarily show it. I'm going with the Postman, another JT Poston.
Of course, he's won. I think he's won Wyndham, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deer. He played well last week. Obviously, I haven't read any gambling content. I would assume he's a popular pick this week, based off of like the flashing on the leaderboard last week. I'm going with the Post, man. JT Poston. PJ, do you have a one and done pick for the Chuck Schwab Challenge?
I'm going past winter, pre restoration, but DB straight vibing. I feel like we're due here. I feel like he should get a win this year. Needs to cement kind of a Ryder Cup status. Has been playing really well, and obviously likes the course. So
it's a good pick. I'm surprised no one went with David Frost, the 65-year-old. He's paired up. We have tee times now with Zach Blair and Dylan Will. So how often is he be in a group where he's hammering it by his playing partner? Because he will be hammering it by David Frost this week.
That's disrespectful. The one of the tour's longest hitters, Zach Blair.
Look, it's an invitational. Past champions, I guess, get an invite in perpetuity. But David Frost, Corey Pavin, and Olin Browne, who would be lawn shots at the Senior PGA, lawn shots, are in the actual. Now
I think last year was Keith Clearwater's last year.
They don't take spots, right? They add spots. This is
such a ridiculous. They're in a spot in a field, which means they could be other people's spots. I know somebody's going to come argue with me about this, but the fact that they're in the field means they're in a spot.
They have the same. Frost has the same odds as Pepe Peter, Blocky, and Frankie Sappin. It's just insane. I looked up. I didn't go deep.
The game.
I didn't go deep. David Frost, he's 65. 65. Is
that older than Cochran was last year?
Might be. He played Colonial last in 2020. So this isn't like an annual thing. He hasn't played in 5 years. Before 2020, he played in 2013. So he's played it twice, essentially the last 15 years. This isn't an annual thing. Why he's doing it, I don't, whatever. He made the cut in 13 here, which all credit to him. Did not 2020.
Years ago.
I know. His last full season on the PGA Tour. His last full season was 2004. That's 21 years ago. PJ was 5. I was in college. That he hasn't been a tour. Like it's not 5 years. That's 21.
Now I'm just gonna play something, and instead of Russ Cochran, just insert David Frost.
Russ Cochran can take anybody that hosts a podcast, give them 2 aside, and play them for their car podcasts.
I'm not like. This is unserious. I don't. It's unserious. He won the 1988 Southern Open. Do you know where that was? Do you have any idea where that was? He beat Bob Tway.
The Southern Open was that at the one that was at Sugarloaf?
Green Island Country Club. It may have been, and then it just disappeared. Eventually, in Pine Mountain, Georgia. So in Columbus, Georgia.
The one that was at like Callaway Gardens for years.
It was. It became that. Yes. The Southern Open, not to be confused with the Bell South. That was the one that was at Sugarloaf, I think. I mean, he won the 19. A little bit. He won the Gordon's Gin Classic in 1983.
83? That was before I was born.
For the record,
before I was born.
On over-unders, our line for the oldest player to make a start on the PGA Tour this year was 62.5. So this is smashing it. This isn't even close.
I know I went over, right?
Everybody went over.
Was Jadon 67 or something, right? Wasn't he when he did the
Russ Cochran was 60 is currently 66, so he was 65 last
David
year.
Frost is him, yeah.
Jadon turned 66 in October, so he was either 65 or 66 last year.
And then there was a club pro at the Sanderson. Wasn't there a section pro at the Sanderson?
Yes,
it was like 68 or something like that.
God, Corey Pavin's going to be absolute theater this week with the shot tracker. He's playing with Chandler Phillips.
Oh, no.
Might be hitting it 100 past him.
Olin Browne and Pavin are both 65 as well.
Can we put the game within the game? I'll give you guys the first two picks. Pavin, PJ gets first pick. Pavin, Browne, and Frost. Game within the game.
Corey Pavin. Corey Pavin.
Come on. I need to. I mean, you've been in the crosstabs with Champions Tour. I'm sure you've been tracking them.
I've at least seen Corey Pavin attempt to play golf recently. So
I'm going to say Olin Browne. Corey Pavin won the 95 US Open. The 95 Shinnecock. I remember watching it at my grandpa's house. That's so long ago.
Did we do a spotlight on Corey Pavin? I think we did.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
we did
PJ,
Captain S and the Ryder Cup.
Get something reheated for that. We'll dive into that on your days after your birthday when you're done with the Red Sox game tonight. Mets Red Sox. Dive into Corey Pavin flat. There's some incredible stuff.
That was a good
became
one.
Born again Christian.
Yeah. The Captain S or whatever with the Celtic Manor. Yeah, that was an interesting.
There's so much gold in that spot.
Yeah. Okay, so Andy's got Frost. PJ has Pavin, and I have Olin Browne. This is awesome. There we go.
I don't think we need to talk about this more. We can talk more on Friday. Let's transition to the event of the week, the Senior PGA. Also, Cabrera wins.
Cabrera wins. PJ, is there any follow-up to your great Champions Tour 5 minutes from Sunday? That was a good one with the chaos in the dark. Cabrera cleans up Monday morning.
Yeah, it was pretty civilized Monday morning. Jerry Kelly just missed a couple putts. El Pato went birdie in and took his first major victory. I mean, Zinger was touting him all week, saying early from Thursday that he loved him just because he was so much longer than everybody else. So, obviously at Greystone, clearly the length plays. So especially when you can just backboard it off 18 there. My favorite part of the broadcast was there was a real serious Jerry Kelly needed to make eagle at 18 to get into a playoff. And there was serious discussion on the broadcast of he just needs to backboard this, try to get on the green,
amazing.
To just launch it up there. So there was it was being advertised that he should backboard in order to try to tie the tournament to make it to a playoff.
What a major. That's a major. That's the expert analysis is backboard it. Well, we go from one major to the next. El Pato. I love the comeback from quote unquote adversity. Oh, what was that? Just the tones and tenor we talk about these things. I love that there was backboarding, advocating for backboarding to try and win a major. We go to the next major, and that is the PGA Championship, the Senior PGA Championship. This is Thursday through Sunday, full 72 holes, not 54, at Congressional Country Club. There is a cut.
Unlike
Congressional Country Club.
What was the spread last week? Did we get a spread total?
Did we get a spread watch?
I'll
let you look that up while defending champ is Dick Bland. It's at Congo. This is 1-4 on Thursday and Friday on Golf Channel. Then you get the network, NBC, baby. Primetime network, Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. finish at Congressional.
42.
42 is last.
Wow.
John Senden.
Oh
man.
He's had some wrist and health issues.
Was he a Mr. 300?
Close. I think you might be right. Yeah. He's long career. So we're going to Congo.
What you got for John Senden, long career.
No, I mean he turned around. He made 300 cuts.
Long career.
He might have been a P Cup player.
Long career. So why don't we make it a little longer with the 300 cut exception?
Congressional is this a better venue than Quail Hollow? How often is the seniors major the week after? It's right down the street from me. I'm gonna go over there.
I enjoy this. I think that some of these guys, there's gonna be some fair police out there. They're gonna be out and about.
No, law and order. Come on, we can't go back to traumatizing people.
I ran into somebody on the street yesterday who said they want the siren back. I love all the sound bites. Love the soundboard.
I think I've gotten word from multiple people who have been over there that the old men are not happy. They're not big fans of this. This is not the Congressional they remember. Like hot, running hot.
This is incredible.
Not happy.
They have that gif of what have you done, my beautiful boy?
Yes. I mean, many of them, obviously Ernie Els won a US Open here. Many of them have played, and they're what happened to my golf course, my Congressional, I remember.
I think you guys got to get over there and just get the quote machines fired up. Get them fired up. Feed them. This could be the easiest place to just get some incredible quotes.
PJ, you want to come down? You can sleep in the basement on the couch. My neighbor offered his guest room. I have too many kids to have a guest room. You can sleep on the couch in the basement. Now my kids come down at 7 a.m. and play PS5.
That's fine.
School them
I play a lot of PS5.
I bet PJ would just run roughshot over your kids.
Work them over on the PS5.
Just running cover 3, playing deep safety, just ball hawking out there.
I can't. I think you might have to come down.
I think I might, based on this field. I think I might.
All right. My wife will I'll grill you food. Well, I'll tell her we'll stock up on Swedish fish.
Bring your swimsuit. You're going to the pool with the poor ass on Saturday morning.
Yeah, we go to the pool. It's open.
I can't swim. I'll teach your kids how to play Madden. They can teach me how to swim.
Wait. Oh, that's right.
I forgot
the only person
this.
You live on an island. Yeah. Literally live on an island.
Definitely
you can't
afraid
swim.
of water. Death, number one fear.
You're always taking ferries.
Yeah. No, it's not good. It's not good.
I may have to tell you to get on the Acela. Come on down. You'll do the whole Acela corridor between Boston.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to be on a lot of trains in the Northeast this week.
I mean, this is why you got to come. I printed this T-sheet out.
Before we get deep in the field, let me just make a declaration here. I am all in on the senior Corbridge Financial team.
They still have one. It's the CFT.
This is genuinely awesome. These are at this point, you're 50 years old. You're not like this in this weird, former, I played on tour 5 years ago and I'm here now. These are 50-year-olds plus, and this is the best. This is the best. I'm actively, I wish I had a Corbridge Financial hat. I'd be wearing it all week.
Oh my God.
I am rooting for the Corbridge Financial number, whatever number there are in this field. I can't wait. I hope one of them. My one question though for PJ, what is Jason Caron doing in the Corbridge Financial team? Why is he on the team?
I feel like this is kind of like a blocky.
This is a fraud. This is worse than blocky. He's a full status. He made it to the Schwab finals last year.
He's like 12th in the Schwab Cup this year.
This is not they're just trying to shoehorn Corbridge into more on the telecast.
Well, he's
not listed as CFT on the T sheet.
He's on the leaderboard on the online pairings. He is. It immediately caught my attention.
So I think this is a blocky situation because I saw on Instagram that the Mill River Pro member was this week. So he was there. He was at home
working the
he was getting
calligraphy on the board and everything. Yeah. All right.
Bob Sowards played last week. And he's playing this week.
Yeah. It's a stick from Columbus. I have a Corbridge Financial team member staying on my street. I don't know how to dox him, but I got a siren emoji from my neighbor. There's a courtesy car at the end of the street. I mean, it's a short par 4 from my house. His Corbridge Financial team credentials have been subject of some dispute on this podcast and elsewhere, but it's unbelievable how close he is to my house this week. PJ, you might have to come down. Okay. This sheet, I printed out the T sheet last week. Honestly, I find more excitement in every group on this one than last week.
So
go ahead.
You do this, and then I do want to just update everybody. We have odds for this tournament.
Oh my God!
Are we making picks? When are we gonna get our Champions Tour Fantasy League going?
Yeah, we got to get it going.
What do we have to do?
744. Billy Mayfair and Kirk Triplett are together. I mean, every group has somebody. I kept waiting to be like, oh, this is a bad group. I have interest in every single group. I'm not gonna. Dick Mast is a member of the Corbridge Financial team. Dick Maas is like 77. He's so old, but he's here as a CFT member, Corbridge Financial team.
Who's this Tim Cantwell that just has PGA by him?
I don't know. How old is Dick Maas? He's 74. He's here on the CFT team. A BVP, Bo Van Pelt's in the field. Notable gay.
Is this BVP's Champs Tour debut with Soren? I was
wondering about that.
I had this in the notes. Is this game within the game, Soren versus BVP? Who do you guys got?
I'll take Keltson. I feel like he's been playing more. BVP hasn't really
I'll
been
take
playing.
my guy BVP. This is a big ballpark.
They kind of jammed Keltson, put him last out on Thursday.
Well, he's the main event. Him and Blandy. I mean, this is people have been talking.
Brett Wetterick is in the field. I looked it up. If you've ever made a Ryder Cup, you get an exemption. If you've ever been on the Ryder Cup team, you're in. So Wetterick.
The American Ryder Cup team, not the Europeans, though.
Well, you know who's here?
Yeah, Andy, this is big.
Pew, 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 pew. Yarmo Sandelin is in the field this week, which I need to get over there.
There's another good spotlight that we did during COVID.
Yes, reheat that guy.
We talked about that one recently. Sandelin.
Yeah. You know who caught my eye? Recent participant in In-Out Alternate. Duffy Waldorf's in the field.
Oh yeah. David Frost beat Duffy in a couple. I was looking at his Wikipedia page. Pretty good. Shingo Katayama's here.
Oh yes. Did you see him flash when they showed what PGA was that they flashed up on the weekend? David Tom's win, okay. And then there was Shingo in his hat, just like in one of the frames. I was like, oh, I needed to see that.
Shingo's playing. Yarmo, Junkman, Freddie Jakobsen, hopefully in a painter's cap like the Dutch boy.
PJ, I think you should station yourself at Quick Quotes, request every one of these guys and just pepper them with questions. And we could just do fascinating quote roundups for the entire weekend.
On the tee sheet, I couldn't figure it out. Individual by the name of Taggart Ridings. When did we call him Taggart? We're calling him Taggart now? Why is he Taggart?
Taggart Ridings.
He's Taggart Ridings.
What did he on the website?
Okay, good.
He doesn't have a picture on the website.
And then Andy,
a bio.
Andy, this might get us to go the full Taurus shotgun start on site. Tim Fleming off at 159 on Thursday. Tim Fleming, David Duval, and Lee Westwood. Westy.
Should I get on a plane?
This field is incredible. It's unbelievable. Great golf course. Congressional. This is event of the week.
Should I pack up the family and say we're spending Memorial Day in DC?
Yeah, they can come to the pool. Everybody can come to the pool. We'll all go to the pool. I'll grill out. We'll go watch the kids. We're going to watch Senior Tour golf. You got to go learn about Soren Keltson, Taggart Ridings.
Westy could get his first major.
I was gonna say, Westy could get on the board.
So my kids don't have school on Friday. I think I'm going to take them over there. Yes. I think I might do it.
Do you think they'll give them a media credential?
No. So yes, that's my Champions Tour. Do you have anything else you want to add? I mean, I could have read a name from every line on the team.
I'll just go down the odds board really quick here. We got Dickie B, the overwhelming favorite. Scotty Scheffler of the Senior Tour, plus 400. Stu Sink plus 850. Ernie Els, Padraig Harrington, Stephen Alker, Jerry Kelly, Steve Stricker, Miguel Angel Jimenez, not far behind. Westy clocking in at 22-1. Good number there, Andy.
That's a great number.
He's been playing better this year.
Yeah. He's playing. We know that. He's actually playing.
Soren on the board, tied with Dick Green and Rashid Goosen, plus 4,000. 40-1 for Soren to win his. That's
a good. I don't think this is a good ballpark for him though.
On the week of his birthday, just comes out storming.
Power is going to be a premium here.
And then I do have to shout out. I've gotten some tweets about this guy still playing on the European Tour, playing apparently pretty well. Darren Fisher is in the field, and it's 35-1.
That feels like a worst case scenario winner here.
Yeah, has Stricker played much at all this year?
No,
he's
I don't
in
think
the
so.
field.
Yeah,
with Alker Boy and Chaka. I love that. Yeah, I love that Ollie the ball. He never plays. And he's playing. I love it. It's a great field.
Who are you picking?
PJ. That's for PJ.
I mean, we spent all day on what was it, Friday, talking about how Blandy had the round of the day, and it was the most impressive thing that Brendan saw all week. I feel like it's really hard. He's not playing with Bryson. So if the Blandy stopper is not in motion,
playing with Miguel on hell.
Playing with Miguel and the senior PGA champion, like the Corbridge champion. Okay. I don't want to just pick Blandy, but I feel like, level of competition, Blandy and Lee Westwood are playing against better players week in and week out.
Patrick Harrington, if you're talking about speed and big ballpark, I think I go with him.
I'm going to go the heartwarming story that the senior tour needs right now and take Angel Cabrera to go back to back.
All right. That's storytelling. I like it.
Figure keeps saying he can move it. He can get it out there.
You know what? I'm rooting for the content. I want to see what senior tour comms, how they have to wrap themselves in a pretzel, and I'm rooting for Angel to just, run roughshod over everybody.
What if Angel gets the career slam this year? Goes 5 for 5.
Oh God.
Not inconceivable.
Majors 2 weeks in a row. This is a great event. It's cool. Congressional on TV, amazing names, legitimate senior event of the week.
One other reason that this event is event of the week is we might get some more.
It's my personal opinion on it. There is no personal opinion. I'm the president of the PGA of America.
Back-to-back weeks for Don Rahm.
Donnie Golf is back. That's right. Oh my God.
We were talking about not seeing him till the Ryder Cup. I got great news. We got this. We got the women's PGA. This is the summer of Don. Don Henley. Boys Ryder of Summer. It's really his theme song.
Summer.
The Boy of
Summer. All right. We'll probably talk more about this on Friday. But just closing schedule for the week. The LPGA is the Mexico Riviera Maya Open at Mayakoba. Back. Oh, God. Not enough golf at Mayakoba. We got to go there. The El Camino course.
What about the vacation goers? Or the golf course is shut down like 3 weeks a year.
It's packed. It's an inaugural event. They've never done this before. But yeah, it's a 2.75 million notables. Lynn Grant, Charlie Hull, Se-Yeon Kim, Anna Nordqvist, Gabby Lopez. That is on Golf Channel 11-1. And then CBS finished. That's nice. 1-3 on CBS. On the European Tour, we have the Soudal Open, one of my favorites. I know that. That's on Golf Channel, Coffee Golf every morning, 7 a.m. to 11 with a 12 p.m. finish on Sunday. This is at the beloved Rinkven International Golf Course in Antwerp, Belgium. So this is where the Belgian boys come out to play the Soudal Open. Notables are Laurie Canner, Chikara, Simon Forstrom, Thirsty Lawrence, Houghton Lee, Francesco Molinari, Marco Penghi, Thomas Peters comes over to play the DP World Tour in his home country, and Matthias Schwab. So that's your European Tour event. And then last but not least, certainly, we have the NCAA Division I men's or women's golf championship going on. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It finishes at 10 p.m. So the match play is going on as we record this. That's primetime golf, 6 to 10 p.m. from La Costa. This, of course, is another like Colonial, Gill, renovation work. Greens were mega firm like they were at Colonial last year. I'm told they're less firm now. But there was something about the bunker sand. It's still soft. There's people complaining about soft bunker sand at La Costa, but the greens have settled more.
Another reason why, for the health of the game of golf, the PGA should move its date is that the NCAA college golf would be like way more in the spotlight this time of year. So that's what I'm just going to say on the subject.
Yep. The women's individual was Maria Jose Marin, who was, inspired watching Maria Fassi win. She's from Columbia in Arkansas, plays for the Razorbacks. So she won the individual. Stanford, obviously, prominent, heavy on the team side. And that's going on right now, Tuesday and Wednesday, 10 p.m. finish. The men's are coming. I had someone from the ground suggest they should flip the women and men, dial it up as much as possible for the men, and then you can kind of rein it back for the second week for the women. But an interesting proposal. Maybe we can talk more about that on Friday. News quickly: TGL announces Motor City Golf Club. Michael Hamp, who's part of the Ford family descendants, he said, "This is a great moment for Detroit sports and a proud moment for me." And they're coming in 2027. Is it really for Detroit sports? Like, does anyone in Detroit know about we know these connections, these cities are tenuous. I get it. It's better than maybe doing fireballs and cliques and stuff. But is it a great moment for Detroit sports? I don't know. TBD. But that's what you say for the press release. A 7th club coming to the TGL.
Well, that means they got to get to 8. So what's the next?
Yeah.
Chicago, you're up.
Why do they need a year? They need to build a front office, build an arena. Why is this a 27 release date?
There's a lot of things you need to do.
They're timing it up for when Ricky's contract expires with NYGC, so they don't have to trade assets for him. Because obviously, as the king of Detroit, Ricky Fowler needs to be on this team. I think they
need some. I think they need off the bus intimidators, not gritty, not pretty names. Straka, Bobby Mack, Novak. They need big boys coming in. Maybe a Tom Hoagie, just gritty, not pretty types coming for Detroit.
Novak chopping it up with Dan would be good content. I'd be in for that.
With Marty? What about with Marty Smith? You could do that. That'd be good. So that's we'll do more on Friday. PJ, I want you to bring your proposed roster for Motor City Golf Club. As a former resident of the Motor City. Other news: Wyndham apologized for chucking his club with the long, written apology. I never had a huge deal with it. It was, dangerous, but whatever. That stuff happens. USGA Fourball developing, big story going on through there. Mark Dahl playing solo has advanced, I believe. His partner had to leave to go to a graduation, his kid's graduation, and he advanced, I believe, 1 versus 2. So that's going on. USGA Fourball's at Plainfield.
Incredible achievement, winning a 1 versus 2 match. I hate to see it happen against 2 of Illinois' finest, Chad Slutsky and John Ramsey. That's tough for them to go down in that fashion. But it is incredible winning one of these matches by yourself.
Nuts. Yes, went nuts. Rolled in some big putts, according to people on the, bonus putts from 40 feet and such. But went 1-on-2. That's going on at Plainfield, one of the early USGA championships this year. And other news we'll get to on Friday. US Open qualifying, we're off. Sergio didn't make it, but we'll run through those names on Friday. Okay.
Was it Johnny Kiefer? Big putt he made to get in.
He did. Johnny Kiefer
come
got
lately
in the Dallas. He's a top 100 player in the world.
I know. I'm in on Johnny Kiefer now. We got.
He's good. He's good. So yeah, good group. A bunch of guys from Bent Tree and then Walton Heath got through. So we'll talk about that on Friday. All right, everybody, enjoy your Wednesdays. We'll be back with you and talk to you on Friday. Thanks for your support.